everybody. Welcome. Thanks for coming. I'm Ara Young. I'm the Assistant Director of the Center for Graduate Life, and I asked Beth Scarborough if she would do a couple of workshops for us for learning EndNote, which she does a ton of workshops anyway, right? In the library and all sorts of tutorials and everything. So she's really the Atkins Library resident EndNote guru. And I can tell you, like, I really wish that I had learned EndNote when I was writing my dissertation. I didn't bother to do it. And I just, compiled the references the old fashioned way. And it would have been really great to learn EndNote. So I'm glad you guys are all here. Oh yeah, and I totally forgot. Beth's title is Instruction and Information Literacy Librarian, not just EndNote guru. So we're recording this session, so you can refer back to it later. We'll put it on our YouTube channel. And Beth also has a ton of information on her library webpage, which I can drop that link in the chat box in a second. But anyway, Beth, I will just turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you, Aura, and thank you for having me. I am going to share my screen. Okay, can you see that? It looks like an EndNote library.
Yep.
Oh, okay. All right, good. So thank y'all for coming. Like I said, this is the research guide, and Aura is going to put that link in the chat so you can refer back to this. There are a couple of videos on here that you can take a look at. And my email is there. You can email me anytime if you have questions, if you want further instruction. I'll be happy to help you out. I'm going to go back to the EndNote. And so what we'll do today is we're going to look at an EndNote library, and I'm going to show you how to export references into your EndNote library from the library databases. And then we'll set groups and group sets, and we'll put it all together with Word so that you can see how much easier it is to write to paper when you are using EndNote. So I hope that everyone was able to download the EndNote 20. If you didn't download EndNote 20, if you downloaded EndNote 9, or if you had an older version on your computer, it'll still work. It just will look a lot different from what this one looks like. This is EndNote 20. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit then about this EndNote library. If you did have problems downloading, if you would contact IT, they will be able to help you there. I can try to put that number in the chat. And you would choose option 2. And so they can walk you through that. They're better to do that than I am. That's their territory. And it's not an easy download. That's why I wanted you to download it beforehand. So if you did have trouble, if you contact them, they'll help you out with that. But so I hope that everyone has EndNote, and that I'll give you some time to actually follow along with me and create the groups and do export references yourself into your own library. So this is a full library. This is my library. This is using EndNote 20. I've got, you see, I've got 373 references, and then I have all my references divided up into different subjects. And like the ones that you see mainly with the capitals, those are group sets. And within those group sets, I've got groups. So that's how I organize my references. And so I'll show you how to do all of that, but you'd be able to move references from, where they're exported into your specific group. And so that does help a lot when you're working. And another thing that you can do, let me see if I can get rid of this. Is I can, if I click on one of my particular titles, and then the way you would look at it, if you would double click on it, and then you see there's a summary, and down at the very bottom of the page is where you would see, you would have to probably grab that little bar, pull it up, but then you would see what this particular reference would look like in MLA in your document. There are lots of other styles to choose from. And if you don't see one that, these are some of the most common, if you don't see yours, you can add it. And then if you don't even see it in select another style, you can go to the EndNote homepage and download it. And then it, quickly, if I wanted to change this to ACS, this is what it would look like in ACS, APA 7. This is the summary of your article. And then the edit, this would be where if you needed to make changes, that you would be able to do that. So this is, and most of these all have been exported into EndNote from one of the library databases. So I know that there's a problem with one of these, but the links. And so you would be able to, if you needed to delete some of that off, you could. The main thing that I see that happens that's an error is that some of these references may get exported in with the title all in caps, and maybe the author might be a little bit mixed up on, so it looks like there's probably something else needed punctuation wise, but I guess that would probably go with this Karen Alexander MD. But this is where you could go in and let's see if I put a comma after that, what it looks like. Where you could go in and change it. So if I go back here, let's see what it does. No, that wasn't right. So change that. But anyway, it would, this is where you can do that, where you can make changes to it. And then there's also this feature, the PDF, and it is on the very far right hand side. And can y'all see that I opened that PDF?
There's a PDF to the side. I see part of it.
Okay, but you don't see the actual PDF. It's going on to the other page. Let me see if I can drag it over here. It's going to another screen. But anyway, you could open this PDF and then you could make, if you needed to make some editing notes on it, there are ways that you can do that. With this is the markup. So if you wanted to put to underline, if you wanted to put a sticky note. So if I wanted to come in here, and let's see, and put a sticky note, and let's see, looks like it already has one, though you probably can't see it. I would, I've got one in here called cardiology. Then if I went to save it, so you would save it. If you didn't save it, it will ask you to save it before you close out. Then if I go to all my references and I want to search all my references, I can search all the references that have PDF notes that contain cardiology. And then there is my reference. So it's just another quick way that you can get to your reference, annotate the actual PDF. So any questions on that before I'm going to move on and open a blank library.
There are a couple of questions in the chat, Beth.
Okay, so
yeah, one person says, I have an article in PDF I wish to add to my library. How can I accomplish that? Nothing happens after I drag the PDF into EndNote.
You would attach it. If you don't already have the reference in there, I'm going to show you how a couple of ways that you can get the PDF kind of quickly a little bit later. Oh, is there a way to add name of database? Oh, that was just one that I did. Yeah, you could do that. I believe, see, if you right click on that line, then the ones that are checked are the ones that are displayed on my screen. So if you want to add name of database, you could do that. So it's just click on this heading up here. So I'm going to go then and open a new library. So I want you to do that with me. Open a new library. If you've already got a library, you can use the one that you have. And so this one, oh. Okay, so this is my new one, CGL. And so yours should look like this. May not have all of this on it, but it should have most, like PubMed and Web of Science maybe on it. And so what we're going to do then is I'm going to go out to Firefox, and this works best with Firefox. It's not compatible with Safari at all. So camera has messed up somewhat. It's still messed up, I think. I apologize for that. I'm going to go out to the Firefox, and open, go to the library homepage, which is library.uncc.edu or library.charlotte.edu. And does anybody have a topic that they want to search that we can use as demo? something you're working on. You can put it in the chat if you want. Nobody has, you want, okay, so tracking in public school, what do you mean by tracking? Well, I can search Medicare, maybe. Okay, student success interventions. Okay, all right. So I'm going to, oh, these are all good. Okay, PTSD and student veterans. All right. So it would depend on your database. Student success. So the education ones, you probably are already aware that there is the ERIC database. And hopefully that you know that you can search, searching the databases is one of the best ways to search. You can see that we've got databases by subject. So if you, if you had a business class or a business topic that you're working on, then we've got, business databases here. And the same with the other subjects. But I'm going to go then to the education database and go to ERIC, which I imagine that if you're in education, you already know about ERIC. But ERIC is an EBSCO database. And I'm going to, let's try this student success. I don't know what we'll get, but we'll see. But you can go in and put in your own search parameters. So when this gave me 22 references. And one way that you can get the references into your EndNote library is to go, and they're opposite of each one, there is this little blue plus. So if you click on that, and I'm going to go and do the first 4. And so y'all can, follow along with me with your own topic. And then once I have them, I have clicked on that, then I go to the folder at the top of the page where it says folder has items. And then I can select all of these. And over on the right, you see export. And the first selection, which is the default, direct export in RIS format. And that's what they will create, an RIS file. And I save it. And I want to open it now. It may say on your computer, if you've not used EndNote before, especially if you've got a Mac, you probably have some settings that you have to go through and enable EndNote to be able to do some things. So I've got open with EndNote. There may be open with RIS, that either one should work. Now mine went directly in here, but it may have sent to yours a drop down. So if you open your drop down file or download, your download file, open the download file, and it should take you to EndNote. So it may ask you again, what do you want to use, what program to use to open those with. So yeah, I'll do this in PubMed too. All right, because PubMed's a little different too. All right, so I'm going to make a group set and then a group and show you how to do that, and then move these references in there. So to do that, I'm going to go to groups at the top and create a group set. So I'm just going to call this education. And then if I want to, highlight it and go back up to groups and create a group. Let's say student success community college. So you can't put any references in your group set. You can only put them in your group. You don't have to have a group set, but I find it easier, especially if you've got more than one topic in the same subject. So I'm going to go up here to, and you see on mine that it tells me I've got 4 references that, was exported and imported into EndNote. And so I'm going to go, and if I click on one and then hit Control A or Command A, it'll highlight all of them. And then I can drag it to my student success group. So if y'all practice doing that, and I'm going to put hopefully this is the right one. Okay, I'm going to put a link to this EndNote Click. EndNote Click is a way that you can fairly easily bring a PDF into your EndNote library. So I'm just going to put that in there. I'm going to see, but it doesn't work with all the databases. It doesn't. Mine seems to work better with Firefox. Although I have the plugin on the Chrome, it still seems to. I have better success with Firefox. And so I click on one of these and I go to the PDF. We'll see if it works with EndNote Click. Okay, so it did. It's seeing here where this thing popped up, this view PDF EndNote. So I have an EndNote EndNote Click account, which is free. And then if I want to export this PDF to EndNote desktop, which is what you have, and if I click on it, then it's asking me what do I want to use to open it with EndNote. And so there is the, it probably will have the reference in there again because the first one didn't have the PDF, but now you have the PDF. So it's one fairly easy way to add references. If it pops out, doesn't work 100% correctly, it doesn't work with all databases, probably works fairly good with Web of Science, but you can just check it out and see if that is helpful to you. And so we're going to go, and you can just at your leisure add that click if you want. So I'm going to go back to and go over to PubMed. So if I go databases, and PubMed and ERIC are both part of the top 10. So I'm just going to click on top 10. There you see ERIC. PubMed, PsycInfo, if you've got psychology, that it's a really good. Web of Science. Web of Science works really well with EndNote. They're both owned by the same company. But if I'm in PubMed and the PubMed person have a topic that we can look at, Tiffany?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Could you do like RNA splicing?
RNA slicing or splicing?
Splicing.
Okay. All right, so I'm just going to do this. And do a quick search. And then you can, narrow your search terms down. So you see that it looks like this is going to, some of these are going to put it into with the EndNote click if you want. But let's say you want more, you want to bring in like maybe more references just than one at a time. So if I go and click the 5 references that I want, and then I click on send to, and go to citation manager. And then it's going to create this, a different kind of file. But I want it to open with Research Soft Export Helper. And export to the regular EndNote, not EndNote Online. And let's see. Okay, so it went directly into my into that library. You may have to, like I said, if it doesn't go directly in there, you may have to open, tell it which program to use and go to your downloaded or downloaded file. So we can make another group. So I'm going to go back up here at the top, groups, create a group set. I'm just going to call this medicine. And then I'm going to make a group to go in there, create a group or in a splicing. And then I can take these references and drag them into that library. So does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Okay, if I go back to that page where we had those, then this is, a way you can put it quickly into your library by getting the PDF export to EndNote desktop. Is what we just did before. But the problem with this is you'll have to delete the other reference that didn't have the PDF because it's creating 2 references. But that's what that EndNote click will do. There are other ways to search for the PDFs. This EndNote click, if you're just doing one at a time, seems to work pretty well. The problem with the other way of looking at these PDFs is even though we may have access to it, it doesn't always recognize it. So, and that's an issue with our integrated library system and EndNote. And the company that owns, did ProQuest, I think ProQuest bought the company that owns EndNote. So hopefully in the future, they'll eliminate that problem because evidently, from what I understand, there's a way they could do it if they wanted to. But we're not the only library, other libraries that use this integrated library system, which is our catalog, our search system, have the same problem with the PDFs. So I can show you then also from the library homepage, because maybe some of you use the library homepage then to get your references. So right, so if I go back here and I could just do a generic search there in the, just in that search bar. You can do more advanced searches, of course. And let's say you wanted maybe this article. If I click on it, then there is this, it pops up that says EndNote Desktop. And I can click on that and download it. Open with EndNote 20. And this may be one of the same ones, I don't know, but and then I can drag it to my folder too. So that's how you would use it with the library homepage. You can add it, you know, you'll just have to play around if you have more than one. It's a little bit more complicated, but if you have problems with that, you can let me know. I want to show you how to add a reference that you may not have exported from one of the databases, because you may use a website that you can't export, because the only ones you'll be allowed to export will be from the library databases that have that function. And most all of the databases do. Sage maybe doesn't. I'm thinking it was Sage or ScienceDirect, one of them. Seemed like the last I checked it didn't, but most of them have an option to download it as an RIS file. Or even if you get it to come in with the PDF with EndNote Click, it will create the citation and the PDF without having to do that. But I'm going to go to References and New Reference. And it will default as a journal article. But you see there are lots of different categories: magazine, article, web page. I'm going to select web page. And so EndNote has it set up as how this is supposed to be formatted using a web page. So I can enter my author's either first name and last name, but the trick is putting each one on the same line. And, you know, I wouldn't like go in and put it lowercase or all uppercase or something, because you'll have to go in and change it. Doesn't know how to change that. And let's say I'm going to enter last name, comma, first name. And let's say University of North Carolina, Charlotte. And then put the comma at the end. That's what I was trying to do with that MD earlier. I'm not sure how to fix that. I would have to take a look at it, but this should work, because then it will recognize that this is not someone's name. Probably with that MD, just get rid of the whole MD and just put their name. But I would have to look at it. So then you just enter what information that you need. Making this up, obviously. And then, you know, you would have to determine according to your style guide what all you needed on here, and then save it. And then if I go to this, look at this reference, and then go to the summary, and then there is what it would look like in APA. So it knows, even though I entered Maggie Ann, it knows to put the initials and even though I in the correct order. So any questions on that? You can put the question in the chat. All right, I'm going to show you then that other thing that you need to look for PDFs. So what you will have to have is the link from that research guide. I think I closed that research guide. So I'm going to go back to it. Okay, there is should be finding full text PDFs of citations. So if you click on that, how to find PDFs in EndNote. And there is the URL right here that I'm going to put in the chat. And I'll show you where you go to. Although it tells you there, I'm going to show you where you go to enter that. So if I go back to EndNote. And I want to enter that URL so that I can find the PDFs or attempt to find them. I would go to edit if you're on Windows, just preferences if you're on a Mac, preferences, and I want to click on find full text. And then this open URL path is where you would place that link. And then just hit OK. And then if I want to look at and see if I can find the PDFs of these, and you may not find many because like I said, that problem that we have, I can highlight them and then over here on the right-hand side, search the web for full text documents. So you would hover over and click on this, I guess that's a PDF kind of icon. So it's searching and it'll tell you on your on the left-hand side. In fact, if you're ever in doubt about what's happening, if you look on the left, it'll tell you what the most recent thing you've done. And so it's found a couple that looks like. But it's obviously it's not going to find all of them. And another way that you can try to find the PDFs, or if you already have PDFs stored on your computer, say, or you download them to a folder. We go back to where we were at under Edit and Preferences. There's that PDF handling. And you see that you can point to a particular folder, even a Dropbox, and select it and click Enable Automatic Importing. And every time you put a PDF in there, into that folder, it will automatically copy it into your EndNote library. So that's in case you already have some that you want to put in your EndNote library. That would be helpful to do. Now, it's not going to be perfect either, because if you have old references, this is working off of DOI. A lot of the old references don't. So the old references, the PDF will come in, but it'll just look, you'll have to, create the actual citation. So any questions so far? No, from Tang, does not recognize the, no. You would have to either individually update that or get it from the EndNote Click or one of the other ways, but it's not going to magically fill all of that in. And even sometimes, even with EndNote Click, it will not recognize all the information in there. So it's, but it will do some. So it is helpful to get some of the PDFs in there the way I've just showed you. All right, so what I want to show you is how this works with Word, but also want to tell you that if you can share your library with other people, and other people can share with you. What you would do would be to up at the top, File and Share. And this is going to pop up on mine and won't do it, but you would just enter the email of the person that you want to share it with. And then you can choose if you want them to have read and write access or whatever. Now, I know there's a group of PhD students in one of the nano classes that the teacher wants them to send him their EndNote library. So I know some professors do like for you to do that. And then if you're working as a group, that's a good way to share the resources. One person will have to be the manager of it and then invite the other people. So if someone shared one with you, you would just go to File and open a shared library. And the way this works is it works by syncing, and it syncs the this desktop library, which is the premier version of EndNote. This is what the library or the university pays for, and for a license to have EndNote for everybody. A lot of schools don't, and they would, you would have to either pay for something yourself or use one of the free softwares. Now, EndNote does have a free software called EndNote Online, and that's the one that it syncs with it syncs with the EndNote Online, and then that's how it, if you're sharing your library with somebody else, it'll merge them together. Or if you're somewhere else and want to add a reference, but you don't have your laptop, you could go to the EndNote Online, and then when you came back to your desktop, you could sync it. So, so this syncs with that other library that I have, but I'm going to show you. So if I open that other library, and I want to sync, and I could click on sync now to bring, to change some of the changes that I've recently made. But over on the very far right, then you see this little bell icon, the little drop down next to that. Then you see this is all the activity that I've done. So if you have other people working with you, then everybody's all the activity that they have done will also be displayed there. So that's kind of how the sync works. It works with the EndNote Online. So you have to create the EndNote Online account, and that they're probably, if you go to sync, it will ask you to either create it or enter the information about your EndNote Online. So any questions on that, where I set up 2 EndNote libraries? The only way you can do that, you can only have one library sync with the other. So you can either put both libraries together and just add your, separate them by these group sets and groups, or just choose one of them that is going to sync with EndNote Online, because you can only do it with one. And that's why I had to open this one so that you could see this. All right, let me show you how this works in Word. See if I can get this. So hopefully you can see my Word document. And so once you've downloaded EndNote, then you'll have an EndNote 20 tab, or EndNote 9 if you downloaded 9 in your in Microsoft Word. And this style area here, this is where you would choose the style that you're needing. So if you needed, it will default it annotated, which is, I'm sure, what nobody wants. But you can choose APA, MLA, whatever it is that you are that you need. And so if I chose this ACS, for example, and I want to add a reference, then I would go to Insert Citation. And this, say I want to look up RNA splicing. And then you would could find the reference that you want to put in your EndNote library, and then click on Insert. And then if I wanted this, I could change this to APA 7. And so it starts creating your in-text citation and your reference. And if I want to add another, you don't have to always go to Insert Citation. You can just go to EndNote and find one of your references, and I'm back on that other one. And I could click on it, and at the very top, there's this little quotation mark icon. If you click on it, then it won't see, and there's a problem I would have to fix with this one. Probably a space or something in there. So you can't throw away your style manager. I mean, your style manual. It's not magic. You still have to go in and make changes like this one and figure out what it is that you need to do. But it does help if you've ever, I know that sometimes when I've written papers, it takes me as long to do my references as it does to write the paper. So if you're doing it manually. So you can also, instead of just entering this into Inner Citation, and if I just wanted one of these into just the bibliography, or maybe you're creating something that's just a bibliography that you're sending to someone, then you can do that and just enter it in the bibliography only. But what you also need to do is, you see that mine says references and yours probably doesn't if you haven't used EndNote before, is you will have to set that up. So if you go to bibliography and configure bibliography and layout. So if you're in the Mac, you will just go to configure bibliography. If you're on Windows, you have to go to this little drop down, layout. And then this is where you can enter your title, change the format, whatever it needs to be. And here with within the body of the bibliography, this is where it's the font and everything is. Then line spacing in APA is supposed to be double. So if you are using APA, that would be where you would change that. And this will stay like this unless you, unless you create a new document. So it should stay in there. If you don't like looking at your reference list, you could just create a page break to get rid of it, to put it at the bottom, but it's going to always look like this. And if you need to make a change, maybe you need, I didn't mean to put this particular one in here, edit and manage citation. And I can go in and say one of these I want to get rid of. I'm just going to remove this one. So, but you have to you can't just back it off or, delete it the way you normally would in Word. You have to go through this edit and manage citation to do that. So there's lots of other things you can even change. If you need to edit a style, you can do that. That's a little more complicated. Lots of different things that you can do with EndNote. Sometimes it can be frustrating. It's not real simple to learn. But they also have a tech support person at EndNote that would be knowledgeable, and I have to call them a lot myself, and they can help you do whatever you want to do. You can either call them or you can email them, and that email or that contact information should be on this research guide under help, how to get help with that's with the number that you can call, and there's the email. So they're really good. They're patient and helpful. And so I would, you can always call me, you can always email me. If I don't know the answer, I'll get in touch with them or ask you to get in touch with them. But they are very thorough. And they're on the West Coast time. So, it's probably easier to get a hold of them after 5 anyway. Sometimes you'll have to leave a callback number. But are there any questions? Let's see. Okay, I think we answered that one. Oh, y'all are going to Armored Cow. Cool. You've got my email on here. Let's see that welcome page. I think I put it in let me put it in here. So email me if any questions that you have. I'm happy to help.